Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Chad here. Just thought I'd give a little shout out. Just went to the post office, had to run some errands, and I went to the post office and had to mail off another Warrior. Can't really say much other than that because it's a gift. And from what I understand, the recipient knows about me and my channel as well as everything else going on. So I can't just say names and stuff. I don't want to ruin it. So hopefully you like your knife, unnamed recipient. So, yeah. But the other thing I wanted to do, guys, is I thought I'd share with you. It's just doing some cleaning up around the shop again. I was working on a knife. I have another one here. I'm off camera. I have another one here. It's all oiled up, cleaned up. I kind of oil it all down once I'm done grinding everything, and I just let it sit and I wipe it off, and then I'll make the Kydex sheath and everything. But this is kind of the wet look of the Warrior Poet Society knives, so I thought I'd show that to you real quick. If it comes into focus, like I said, guys, I don't know what I'm seeing here, but it's not sharpened or anything yet, but it's all shaped and done. It'll get cleaned off. It won't stay all wet and oily and everything. I just kind of wipe it all down. I oil the whole thing while it just sits to the side. I don't know, a little OCD in me or something, but I thought I'd share some things with you is because people that are getting into knives, and I know some friends of mine, they recently shared that they have a friend that's just getting into knives, and he's getting his little shop together and doing stuff. So didn't know much about it, but I got to thinking, I know I got a small following compared to most people, but following nonetheless. So I thought I'd share a little bit of just some of the things I use, and I don't use a lot of this. That's why I don't buy it in large amounts, large quantities. These are only 15 sheets in a box. And when I'm at Lowe's, I see them, if there's a Lowe's sale, or, I get a military discount at Lowe's. So I just grab some of these, and the 120 and 220 for sanding the scales is primarily my biggest use. I do some 400 from time to time, but I usually don't go any higher than 220. But I do have 400, so I do get some, but they didn't have any there. But this is just, it's a regular Pro Pack, as you see, just 115 sheets, 120 grit and 220 grit. So no big deal there. And recently, I got a big piece of big leaf maple, a big burl. And I think it was in one of the videos that you guys might have seen, but we were ripping down pieces. I used to have a bandsaw for wood, and I sold it to a friend of mine, actually, Jacob Conte with Conte Custom Rods. I'll throw a link down below or something like that. He's got a Facebook page. He doesn't have a website, but he's got a Facebook page. Jump over there. He makes custom fishing rods, fly rods, steelhead, trout, all sorts of stuff, bass, some pretty slick looking rods. So for a novice fisherman like me, they're real pretty. But I use my table saw most of the times, and that's simply because I get a real nice even cut. I rip it down. So much of the wood I use is in big block form, so it works pretty good to do that. Now I am trying to save up for a bandsaw. I want to get a big standing wood metal bandsaw. I've been eyeballing the Jet. I don't know the model number, but I got a spot for it over here in the shop. It's all cleaned up, ready to go, but just got to save up for it because they're pretty expensive. But so in the meantime, I use my DeWalt table saw, and I just started burning up the blade on that one, so I got myself a new blade. And I don't go with a fine tooth. They got like the 120 teeth or something like that. I don't do that because, again, I use a lot of thicker, denser woods. But I don't use the 60 teeth either. I find the 80 tooth is a happy medium when I'm ripping down wood to get it in block form, whether I'm going to stabilize it myself or if I'm going to send it out to get stabilized. So I had to get myself another one of those. And then recently my son got into, well, he's been into it for a while. He loves rocks. He loves geology. A lot of good stuff like that. And so he wants to get into cutting some rocks up. He's got some really cool looking rocks, and he wants to try to cut rocks in half to see what it looks like. I'm like, all right, hey, I'll fuel his fire. That's what it's all about. Just like homeschoolers. If you got a kid that's interested in something, fuel that fire, stoke it, see what comes out of it. If nothing comes out of it, what was wasted? It was an education, right? So I went out and picked myself up I got a big rigid wet saw when I used to do tile work on the side, and I use a 7-inch blade on it, but all I have is for doing porcelain and ceramics and stuff like that, and mosaics and all that kind of stuff. So I got myself one of these so we can start cutting into some rock. Hopefully this, I think, should work pretty good. It's for cinder block. and masonry, and you can use a wet or dry. So I'm going to use that. But lastly, getting into more of the knife stuff again, is I get my belts. I've gotten belts from 3 different places in the past. No one place I would say was, phenomenally stellar over the other, meaning that, hey, the reason why I don't use Joe is because Barry was just so much cheaper and so much nicer of a person, and I didn't like Ed over there because he was just a jerk. That's not the case. I would recommend a couple of places. Phoenix Abrasives, Sean with Phoenix Abrasives. He's always a nice guy. We're friends on Facebook. I never met the fellow, just talk with him quite a bit. He does have some good sales every now and then. He hasn't always been the cheapest, but it was good. But I ended up coming across, and there's Jantz and things like that, and some other knife making supply companies. But my buddy Jeff, my old knife mentor, my buddy Jeff, he uses this one company called Combat Abrasives, and it's actually veteran owned, and I didn't know about them at all. And probably about a year ago, maybe 7 months ago or something like that, I started buying belts from them. They are not the cheapest, but they're not the most expensive. Okay, so they're right in that happy medium. They're not the best with communicating. Expediency isn't the best. I ordered these belts well over a week ago, and they just, it was like 4 or 5 days later, I got an email saying that my order was completed. That was it. I didn't know anything else. Well, today, at the making of this video, it's been about 10 days, which isn't slow by no stretch of imagination, but Sean has gone a little faster with Phoenix Abrasive. I've gotten belts faster from him, but I didn't even know it was on its way. They never sent me any tracking, and that's not the first time. So the communication aspect of it isn't the best. If you call them and talk with them, then they're great, but they're always fighting with that kind of stuff. They're fighting their little communication gremlins or something here, but I got a huge order here. Because again, nice group of guys overall. I like the company, I like to support it. And I have a whole bunch of belts here. And as you can see, this is going to be all the 80. Nope, I got some 120 stuff underneath here, but I get 40, 80, and 120. That's the primary 3 belts I use, especially with the Warrior Poet Society belts, or knives, because I do the acid stonewash finish. And now that I have a sandblasting cabinet, that's going to be really cool. So I'm going to be able to go and save myself a lot more time on the hand sanding aspect after heat treat, and using the sandblaster to go in there so I can do that acid stonewash. At least that's what I'm hoping. That's the plan. But yeah, I've got at least, I think I had 30 or 40 belts ordered, and yeah, that's a lot of belts considering I think the cheapest belt was $5 or $6 for a single belt, and I've got a lot of belts here now. So I ended up picking up, I got some more 120s here. I'd have to pull out the invoice again, but I've got 40s, 80s, and 120s. I keep them up here, and I used to have everything from, I used to use 36 grit, and I did 36, 60, and then 120, then I had 220, 400, and then I had 600. I never used 600 except for sharpening my knives. And hand sharpening a knife is a skill. Now, they talk about trying to, sharpen a knife on whetstones and stuff like that. Try sharpening it on a 2x72 grinder and making sure you keep that edge and that bevel every step of the way, because when I was done with a knife and ready to ship it out to a customer, I had to sharpen it. I would go from 120 and work my way up to 600, and then I would either hit it on a strop. I'd hit it on a leather strop like this, and then ultimately I came out with a ceramic rod, which was this, and this thing was awesome. This ceramic rod is just amazing. It was like $14 on Amazon, so they were pretty cool, but I wasn't getting consistency in it. I had a lot of people asking me what angle I was sharpening them on so they could put it in their Lansky's, I think, sharpeners, and some of those other type of jigs you could put in there, and I told them I don't know what the angle is because I freehand everything. So, and then on top of it, I only get maybe a 600 belt, one knife, and then it'd pretty much be trashed. I really couldn't use it for much else to keep that really good hone, to get a really good edge on it. So I stopped using the 600 grits, which saved me some money, and I got that Wicked Edge system, and I've been happy with that. And then the same with 400s. I stopped using them. I had no use for a 400 and 600 anymore. So I just do the 40. I switched over from 36 to 40. Then I went from 60 to 80. Of course, the OCD in me, because it's, of course, it's 40, 80, 120. Yeah, I know. It's kind of silly, but I do 40, 80, 120, and 220. And then after everything else, I do it all hand sanding. So if I was to take something up to a 600 grit, it's all me and elbow grease and WD-40. So that's it there. So for what that's worth, that's what I use. But yeah, guys, so I just wanted to share this real quick video with you. Just kind of, you know, giving you, you know, a thumbs up. I got number 4 Warrior Poke getting ready to go out this week. And kind of getting that kind of set up with the belts. So I'll leave a link down below. I think I've done a video in the past about combat abrasives. I'm not 100%, but I just thought, well, I had this little box I got in the mail. I'd do a little impromptu video and get this kicked out. So I just lost my, yeah, and acetone. You can never have enough acetone. But you got to leave the lid on. Got to put the cap back on. Acetone evaporates. So yeah, guys, so I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping over. Got any questions, leave them down below. Again, if I got links to anything, I'll put them down below as well so you know where to get it. And I'll look them up. I don't get anything from anybody from Combat Abrasives. They don't even know I'm making a video. Other than buying belts, I don't even know if they even watch my YouTube video or anything, or even know that I'm a knife maker. So I got no horse in the race there, but good enough group, guys. I'm happy with them. This is probably my 4th or 5th order in the last, you know, 6 or 8 months, something like that. So, you know, give them a try. If you're looking to dabble in knife making, give them a shout. But anyhow, you guys take it easy. Have a good one. Links down below. Thumbs up, subscribe, the bell, all that good stuff. Keep me from the bottom of the YouTube bucket, would you? See you in the next video.